Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran, and we have more information on the patch 8.2 PTR, primarily dealing with Azerite gear and the Azerite vendor. Blizzard finally has revealed the prices for Azerite gear for the next patch in the Season 3 of Mythic Plus. One of the cool things about patch 8.2 is that you can actually start saving up that Azerite currency, most people know it as the Azerite chalk, so we'll call it here, to stockpile it for the future patch. If you decide to start collecting a bunch of Azerites now, whether you get 10,000, 20,000, 200,000 of that stuff, you should be able to buy yourself a piece of gear as soon as the vendor is open for 8.2 on the live servers. This can mean that somebody could actually buy themselves a 430 or even a 445 piece of gear day one as soon as the vendor drops, giving them that cutting edge ahead in DPS, healing, or tanking in order to get into groups. That is huge that Blizzard is letting people save up for this type of advantage, so all your hard work that you're putting up before the patch will pay off after the patch is out. But now we have the actual pricing of this gear. They added the vendor on the patch 8.2 PTR, so you can actually check them out right now. And for a couple different alts, I've actually started stockpiling Azerite gear, so I was very interested to see what are some of the prices we see firsthand. I will tell you guys right now, these prices seem really high, at least at first. We are talking about, I would even say, Legion numbers. Remember how in Legion everybody did damage in millions? Well, we're not going to be paying like 1 million of that chalk in order to get a piece. But the numbers are definitely higher than so far what we have seen. For a randomized piece of gear, you'll have to pay about 1,725 chalk for a 415 item level. That's actually the exact same amount that you have to pay right now for randomized gear if you're playing BFA. For a randomized piece of gear that's 430 item level, you have to pay 9,000 of that chalk. So we are seeing quite a big jump between a randomized piece of gear for 415 and a randomized gear for a 430. If you're trying to buy a randomized 445 piece of gear, that's going to cost you 47,500 Azerite chalk, which seems like a really high number. And lastly, if you want to buy yourself a specific Azerite piece of gear at the highest item level possible at 445 item level, currently on the PTR servers, that is 200,000 Azerite chalk. And that's a pretty hefty number that's really going to set you back. Now, the gear does seem really expensive. I'm actually surprised that we're seeing the 200,000. It's a little wild at first and disorienting at the beginning, but I think the numbers do make sense if you account for how much you should earn every single week. Now, how big are these numbers? Let's put them into perspective. On Wowhead, they have a couple of nifty charts that helps us visualize this information a little bit easier. So let's take a look first of all at how much a piece of gear in Season 2 at a highest random mythic piece cost. And the cost for that one was about 1,725. How many Mythic Plus 10s, 15s, or 20s do you have to do for however many weeks before you can unlock that random Mythic piece of Azerite gear? And we're going to take a look at majority of where players are at. Most people complete at least a 10 for the week. Some of you guys are real big tryhards with your 12s, 13s, some are real champs with 15s, and others are insane with 20s. But we'll take a look at what your average player is going to do, which is at least a 10. So let's take a look at 10s first. The question is, how many level 10 completion keys do you need before you can buy yourself a random mythic Azerite piece of gear? For getting a 10 done in Season 2, you get 625 worth of Azerite chalk. It takes about 1,725 Azerite chalk to buy a random mythic piece. That is not accounting for someone who might do a 10 one week, 11 another, 15 the next week, or you have Azerite that you can scrap from World Quest or something. So by just doing 10s, it takes you about 3 weeks before you can get a random mythic piece of gear. That's a 415 item level right now. Blizzard has followed this system for the last 2 seasons, so we are led to believe that Season 3 is going to be exactly the same. So whether we're in Season 1, 2, 3, or 4, or however many seasons we have in the future, it should still take you roughly about 3 weeks before you can buy a randomized piece of gear for doing minimum of a 10 Mythic Plus chest a week. If Blizzard continues this trend, we can kind of see just how much you would earn for a 10 in Season 3, or at least roughly how much you would earn. So in a really quick math, we are going to get about 70,210 We don't know exactly how much Blizzard is going to give us for completing a 10, but this is how much you would need, roughly, because I'm rounding it up, in order to be able to get our Azerite Mythic randomized piece of gear every 3 weeks or so. The lowest number that Blizzard would need to hit in order for us to be able to get our Mythic random Azerite gear within 3 weeks by doing 10s would have to be at least 15,833.33, repeating of course. So we'll have to wait and see until Blizzard actually reveals some more information in terms of how much Azerite we acquire depending on what kind of key we do. It's nice to see early numbers, but we still are missing a lot of information. There is a possibility that Blizzard could make that wait until your first Mythic randomized piece longer than the last season, or it could be roughly about the same. We would just need to know exactly how much Azerite you need depending on which level of Mythic keystone you complete in a week. Some more information about this Azerite gear, and I think a lot of you guys will be really happy, especially if you're not a huge fan of the necklace grind. We will need to use the necklace for essences. Outside of essences, you should still be able to unlock all of the Azerites when it comes to Azerite gear, as long as your necklace level is at level 50. Everybody who is not at level 50 right now, don't worry, pretty sure Blizzard will add more catch-up mechanisms in order to increase how much Azerite you get per world quest you do, or how much Azerite you need less of in order to get to the next level. This way it'll help you on your ults and mains to catch up to level 50 very quickly. What'll be more important is grinding out the Azerite for the necklace, for the essences. That can be a whole nother video where we can talk about it, but know this: in the future patch, if you get, let's say, a brand new piece of gear that's 445 and you're like, oh man, I can finally go and upgrade this piece of gear, as long as your necklace is at level 50, you can. So this is going to be very, very exciting for anybody who is looking to snag themselves a really high admiral piece of gear in order to pump more damage, more healing, or tanking. Now, these numbers are just first rough numbers that we've seen so far, and I'll make videos updating you guys on what's happening in the future, but this was some rough numbers, some rough math at the very start of what we know of this brand new patch and the Azerite stuff in 8.2. If there's more information out in the future, I will make a video for it for you guys, but thank you guys so much for watching this video. Let me know what you think. Do you find some of these numbers a little bit too high, and do you think the inflation is maybe getting a little bit to the point where it's getting kind of uncomfortable for the future patch? Does it feel like Blizzard is trying to make people spend more time to get their Azerite gear, or is it feeling about the same? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I do hope you enjoyed, and I'll see all of you guys in another video.